Hope everyone's doing good. Just about to do some training in the pallet shed. This is the shed that I built in lockdown out of pallets. If you never saw the video, I'll drop the link in the description. But it is still standing. I still come in here every week. I've got some weights and stuff in here, some mats that don't really get used for grappling. We usually just hit pads in here. But yeah, could definitely use it more. But yeah, great little space to have in my house. So yeah, going to do a little bit of a training session now. I thought I've been meaning to make this video for a while, so I thought now's a good time. It's been a busy weekend. I've been at the BKFC. I had nobody fighting this weekend. Usually I've got fighters on the show, but for once I just went and I just sat and just watched an event without having to corner anyone, anything like that. So yeah, it was good. It was a crazy event. I don't know if you caught it, but yeah, some really good fights. Really good just to sit and just watch the fights and just appreciate it. The main event was probably the craziest single round I've ever seen. Just mad. Both dropping each other, just one for one. There was a knockdown right after the bell, which was crazy. And then the start, I think 5 seconds at the start of the second round, Aggie Faulkner, he won, knocking his opponent out. So yeah, crazy. Anyway, while BKFC was on, the UFC was also on. Now, I haven't even caught up on the UFC. I know all the results. I've just not had time to watch the fights yet, so I don't know how much this is coming to play. But this was a landmark event because this was the first time the new rules have been implemented. Now, this rule change, they announced it months and months ago, but I think it started on like the 1st of November. So this weekend's show was the first UFC under these new crazy rules. So for those that don't know, there was 2 major rule changes. They were the use of the downward elbow and also the definition of a grounded fighter. And these are the grounded fighter thing has been a massive issue for years and years, and they've kept changing the rules and stuff. So we'll come to that in a second. But the downward elbow, so for years, since the UFC kind of made the unified rules, the downward elbow has always been outlawed. So that is, they always call it a 12-6 elbow. So that is going from the sky down to the ground like this. So it's relative to the ground and not your opponent. So if you were laid on your back, you could go like this to the top of your opponent's head. That's fine. It was relative to the ground. So I can't reach up to the sky and do this down to the ground. Now, there was always a legend that the reason why this happened is when there was UFC was working with the Athletic Commission, they had to put some stipulations in there for safety. It was all, I mean, it's all about safety, but so, and this, people can comment whether this is true, whether there's some kind of evidence of this, I don't know. But the legend in the MMA community was always that somebody on the Athletic Commission had seen some karate guy or whatever breaking blocks of ice with this elbow, this 12-6 elbow, saying it was like the strongest strike. That's where they were doing the most damage with this strike. So when there was hashing out the unified rules, the Athletic Commission actually said, you know, what about that? We need to take this out. This is too dangerous. So I think they had to settle on that and remove that particular elbow, which is just bizarre. But that's always the legend that's floated around in the MMA community. Again, I'm not sure how true that is. Maybe there's some people out there, maybe you can elaborate and you know some more on that backstory. But yeah, since the inception of the unified rules, this 12-6 elbow has been outlawed. Now, it's, for me, it was always a stupid a stupid rule. Like, an elbow is an elbow. The direction of it, you know, doesn't really matter. People started to, even the referees would come before a fight and they would tell you, do not do a 12-6 elbow, but you can put a little curve on it like this. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, so the referees are saying, show me a little curve, you know, it's fine. And it's like, why is this even a thing? So yeah, it's great that they've changed that. It just means you don't have to worry too much, you know, if you're against the fence and you're trying to drop elbows. You don't have to worry about like putting these arcs on and getting disqualified. Look at John Jones. He got disqualified. I think he was in mount, wasn't he, with the downward elbows. That went down as a loss because he got DQ'd. And I'm sure there's loads of other examples of people using downward elbows. I'm sure Tom Aspinall early in his career, I may be wrong, I'm sure I was there. It was at FCC, and I'm sure he got disqualified for the same thing, for a downward elbow. I will check up on that. So yeah, I think that it's great that it's been changed. I don't think they're going to go back and take away those DQs from this, but I just think it was a stupid rule. I think it doesn't affect, you know, so I did see some people saying it is dangerous, you know, there's going to be way more knockouts from mount people doing this. I don't think so. I think throwing an elbow over, throwing it down, I don't think it really matters. It's just another tool. Yeah, I think that it's no more dangerous than any other strike. And it was always a stupid rule that it was outlawed. So for me, putting the 12-6 elbow back in, yeah, it's a good decision. And like I say, you get some people saying, oh no, this is like some crazy powerful strike. It's the same as any strike. It's just another weapon. So yeah, really happy that that's back in. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think this should be allowed? I think it's a stupid rule. It should have never been outlawed, never been banned. All strikes should be allowed. Obviously, you know, doing this downwards to somebody's spine or the back of the neck would be very, very, very bad. But the back of the neck and the spine are illegal targets. You can't hit those anyway. So for me, the fact that you can't hit the back of the neck or the spine, that's enough of a ruling to be able to do any strike. Yeah, any strike should be allowed as long as you don't hit the back of the neck or the spine. So yeah, for me, that's a good call. So now let's get on to the downed opponent rule. Now this is the most controversial one, and this is the biggest rule that everybody needs to be aware of now. This is like a super big change. So for years, they flipped back and forth. So there used to be a thing called 3 points of contact. So the soles of your feet and one other point was on the floor, you were classed as downed. So, the 3 point rule, slightly different to that, is any 3 points of contact, yeah? So a foot and a hand would be the logical one. But the problem with that is, if you was balanced on one foot leaning against the cage and you had one hand down, now there wasn't 3 points of contact, so you could still be kicked and kneed. So there was like this blurred area. Using the 3 points of contact rule, I think, became a little bit weird because of, you can end up in some strange positions in MMA. You know, like I say, if you're balanced on one leg, or you might be posted on your head, your knee, but that's only 2 points of contact. You know, just weird. It was a weird rule to kind of explain and to ref. You know, if you're a referee and these positions are happening, they're happening fast, it could be very, very difficult. So then they changed it to anything other than the soles of your feet, you was down. So then what people would do is they would touch their finger on the floor like this. That would mean they're down. And then they couldn't be kicked or kneed in the head. And again, there's a lot of fights where people played the game where they did this, got kneed in the head, and then the opponent got DQ'd or he got made a no contest. So then they kind of flip back and forth a lot, saying, you know, this is not downed. You have to have a hand or a fist. So it's your soles of your, you've got the soles of your feet. If it's just the soles of your feet on the floor, you are not down. If you're like this, you are not down. But if this happens or this happens, now you're down. And again, there's people playing the game of like touching the hand on and off. Then they tried to outlaw that, saying if you are playing the game, then it's your own fault if you get kneed in the head. So now they've just done a complete, like, they've just got rid of that completely. And they've now said it has to be anything other than your hands and feet. So if you've got your hand down like this, you can now be kicked and kneed in the head. If you have both hands down like this, so the rule always was, before it was like talking about one hand. Now they're saying even if you've got two hands down, if you're on the soles of your feet with two hands like this or like this, you're still not down. You have to go to an elbow or a knee. And, you know, so you are definitely down. So it stops people playing this game. If I was against the fence and I was, you know, defending like this, I could, you know, touch my hand down. That would stop you kneeing me in the head. But now, again, they're saying even both hands doesn't count. It has to be elbow or knee. And I think this is a massive, massive strategy change. I really like it. A lot of people think this is a crazy rule change. It's almost, I've seen a lot of people saying it's like a backward step. Now, I'm from the old school, early 2000s MMA. I got into MMA through Vale Tudo. I've even got it tattooed on my hands. So that's the kind of, I liked it when there was less rules, when it was more closer to real, you know, street fighting, if you like. So yeah, I like the rule. I actually like the knees to the head on the ground rule, like they've done in Japan. I've actually fought in Bulgaria with knees and soccer kicks to the head, which I'll do another video on because that's not what we're talking about. But I really like those rules. But what we're talking about now is the hands now does not count as a downed opponent. Again, I really like it. It's going to stop people playing the game. They can't play the game now of touching the hands on the mat. You have to be down. You have to drop your knee. Now we're down. And I think it's going to make fights... I think it does make it more exciting because you're going to get more knockouts. You know, if people are just touching like this, if you put your hand down, obviously you're not blocking your face and you're able to kick a knee to the head, which some people are going to say that is absolutely brutal if someone's got their hand on the floor, kicking them in the face. And this is the big argument. Is this a crazy rule that should be outlawed? Again, I really like it. I never thought I would see the day that this was allowed. I thought that the UFC and the athletic commissions would be... I thought the pressure from the athletic commissions would be almost going the other way, trying to take that out, even enforce it even more. Like anything other than the soles of the feet touching the floor is down. But no, this is the new rules. So make sure if you're training, if you're a fighter, make sure you're super aware of this. You either put your knee down and you're down, or you need to stay up and you need to protect your face. No touching the mat to play the game. You got to either block your head or you got to go down to a knee or an elbow. So yeah, I really like the rule changes. I think it's a step towards more real combat. I think it's going to make fights more exciting. At the end of the day, danger equals excitement. So the more danger, you know, now against the fence, you put your hand down, you can still be kneed in the head and knocked out. For me, I think that's brings more excitement to the game, more finishers, and less stalling. If you're against the fence, you have to make that choice. Are you going to be up or down? None of that kind of in between. Let's just play the game. You go down and you fight from the ground, or you stay up and you try and fight stood up. So I really like it. A lot of people don't like it. Let me know what you think. I'm interested to hear what people think. I haven't caught up on the UFC at the weekend. Like I say, I was at BKFC. And I'm not sure if the rule actually had an effect on any of the fights. So if they did, drop me a comment. Let me know if there's a certain fight where, you know, either the 12-6 elbow or the downed fighter rule, you know, sort of came into play and maybe affected the fight. And I'll check it out. I will catch up on the fights. But yeah, there we go. That's what I think of the new crazy rules. Let me know what you think. I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a step closer to the sort of original, real combat. Soccer kicks and knees to the head on the ground. That's a completely another discussion which we will get into. But I know that's a pretty polarizing topic for a lot of people. So yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of these new crazy MMA rules.